presidential debates, the foreign policy oftentimes comes up in the third debate. And this time, I guess they got a list, each campaign got a list of the topics, as it were. And he was really upset that foreign policy was not a larger part of the topics that are coming. Could this be a tactic that Trump's campaign is using to steer away from him answering questions about this COVID thing? And do we really need to go to COVID again? Do we really need to go to taxes again? Like, where does the moderator have to hit here, Dr. Watkins?
I think obviously you need a strong moderator. I think that's important. You need a fair moderator. I don't know if we're getting fairness from the media, which is really disappointing to me.
Very disappointing to me.
Yeah, and I think overall, I personally don't think COVID is the greatest threat to this country. I think that we've made it into that. For example, China just released their economic numbers, and they're one of the first countries on earth to really recover from the COVID thing. And if you notice how they handled it, remember, they got hit first. They were ground zero. And then they just kind of said, you know what, we're going to handle it, but that's not going to be the thing that we're going to use. We're not going to keep 1.2 billion people living in fear, not able to eat while we solve the problem. We're just going to solve the problem and make sure our people eat. And that's worked. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all the people that have done well during the pandemic are people who said, let's stay safe, but let's keep moving. And so in that area, that's where I agree with the Trump administration. I don't think that they were denying that COVID was there. I think the Democrats wanted COVID to just stop everything. I think they wanted to wreck the economy so they could say, look, it's his fault. That guy did it. When I don't think he did it. I think they did it. And so I think really I don't want to talk about COVID anymore. I think that if Trump shows that he can just be a leader that has some damn sense, because sometimes he doesn't. He acts like a crazy rapper sometimes. I think that turns a lot of people off. I think it definitely turns off intelligent people.
Yeah, I think China handled their COVID problem by if you walk out the house without a mask, you get shot. It's easier to kind of control situations like that when you're not. Yes, they are a communist country. If you don't do what they say, they're going to shoot you.
No, they might lock you up, but they won't shoot you.
I would not hold up China as some role model for COVID.
I don't think China's all bad. I think that China just said, you know what? China was making moves during the pandemic. China said, look, the whole world's frozen in fear. This is our perfect opportunity to control Hong Kong. Remember, a year ago, they couldn't control Hong Kong. Now Hong Kong's on lockdown, right? Because they want to keep everybody safe. Like, I think people just have to be smarter and understand that when the lights go out like this and when bad things like this happen, there are people that sit frozen and say, okay, tell me what to do, master. And then there are people who are moving around, and China is a major mover in all areas, political and economics. I think that we as Black people can kind of learn from that just a little bit. Not
an authoritarian country. They can force their people to stay inside. They don't have to issue mass mandates. If you go outside, you get shot.
But they're not shooting people. They're not doing that. But I've been to China. Don't get me wrong. But don't get me wrong. I've been to China a bunch of times. I never got shot. I never got locked up. I never had a fear of the police. But I did know China was different. I taught a class in China. The communism is real and the control is real for sure. But at the same time, there's a type of unity that allows them to move forward. The United States has this beautiful democracy. We spend all our time fighting. We can't get anything done because half the country wants to destroy what the other half is trying to do. That ain't the way you move a country forward.
Mo? Vehemently disagree with that.
I think we have to decide, is China someone that we can actually trust or not trust? Throughout this conversation, I've heard both sides of the conversation. On one end, we can't trust China because of COVID. And the other end, we say we can trust China because of COVID. And I think we need to, as they say, get off the pot. It's got to be one or the other. It cannot be both.
I think that you can trust China's going to take care of China. And China's going to make sure China's good. That's what you can trust. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Some of the things they do are egregious, compared to our standards. But not everything they do is stupid. Sometimes they look at us and we look like the stupid ones because we can't get anything done because nobody has the authority to really make a decision to move the country forward.
Well, when you have a strong man who runs the country under authority of you being sent to the gulags and shot, it's a lot easier to get things done than in a republic democracy.
Well, so let's move on here. Let's move on here. Look, the first debate caused a lot of issues because neither Donald Trump nor his crew wore masks. And it was said that Donald Trump did not even take a COVID test. And even during the second debate, he flat out said, I don't remember, I take a test. Who knows if I took a test? So the question is, will he take a COVID test that will produce negative results for this third and final debate on October 22nd?
It's not a question of whether he'll take a test. It's a question of whether we can believe the answer that he'll give us. He hasn't been honest. He hasn't been forthright regarding his health any step of the way, going back to when he supposedly was in great health from his first physical while in office. I have a question as to whether we can believe what he will tell us. He may not even be able to remember. He's been very reticent to tell us when he had his last negative test in general. So to say that we should believe him now because he says, yes, I had a test and I passed with flying colors. It was the perfect test. It was a beautiful test. It was the greatest test ever. I'm not falling for that. So it's just a function of whether we want to believe him or not what he tells us.
Okay. Christopher, I know you got a long answer about your boy.
There's not a government official that would lie about the president's COVID test. So if the president has a negative or positive test, I believe that. I think he will be tested.
No, I think that doctor straight up lied about how well he was doing. So no, there are several government officials who will lie about Trump.
I think they would not lie and say they lied about him being on, or not lied, but they didn't tell exactly the truth on the oxygen. But they did not lie when it came to the results of his test. I don't think they would lie about that.
All right. Well, it's no lie. We're coming right back on the Tammy Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. Don't go anywhere.
Tammy Mac.
Break. And you're back.
All right. I can't get to all my questions. Let me see what's going to be. Let me see what the best one's going to be for this wrap up here. Let me see. I have to look at my paper most of the time. I'm just listening to y'all. This is a beautiful thing. I'm enjoying this.
I think with Trump's COVID test, I think that we saw COVID differently when we thought that it was going to just kill everybody. When I saw millions of people catching it and like less than, I think, 0.1% of the country, die from 40% of those people who are in nursing homes. Think about it. What would it take for you to send your parent to a nursing home? They got to be pretty damn sick. My father's a cancer survivor. His immune system's almost nothing. But sending him to a nursing home is something we'd only do if we absolutely have to, and he was damn near dead. And so when 40% of the deaths were senior citizens in nursing homes, that kind of made me think that, I don't know. I mean, death is always bad.
Thank you.
Yeah, death is always a bad thing, but I don't know. There are many other ways that people die on a more regular basis than this. I think that we're making a big deal because it's an election year. After the election's over, by New Year's it'll be gone. I guarantee it. They won't be talking about it in the media anymore. Just like the California wildfires,
they won't be talking about it, but it won't be gone.
So do you believe the conspiracy theory that some Democrats in some of these Democratic states are intentionally keeping these states closed down to help the economy?
30 seconds.
I think they're destroying the economy because they want to win an election. These millionaires are telling people to stay home and lose their jobs. And I just think that's ridiculous. Almost criminal.
15 seconds.
Thank you, 15.
All right, you're back.
Alicia, did I hit
10,
the thing enough?
8, 7, 6.
Yeah, you're fine.
4, 3.
Tammy Mac Show.
Welcome back to the Tammy Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. We're almost out of here, but I have to get this one in real quick. Since we were talking about COVID and whether President Trump will take a COVID test that will produce negative results, and if it did produce a negative result, would that be the truth? But I noticed, here recently today, they say that the First Lady, Melania Trump, will not join him on the rallies because she's still suffering from COVID with a heavy cough. And so she's unable to attend these rallies. And my question becomes, it's almost as if she doesn't exist. Like, he's not said anything about how she's doing or I mean, he's just like, I'm Superman and I got over this thing. And meanwhile, his poor wife is at home coughing up a lung. I just don't understand why we don't care about our wife and our wife's health and think that America would care about the health of the first lady. That bothers me a little bit as a woman and a wife, okay? Because I'm like, I'm gonna need my husband to be concerned about me. Okay, moving on. So what impact will Amy Coney Barrett's nomination and the hearings have on this presidential and Senate races, do you think, Mo Kelly?
I think it's going to have some impact, but I think it was baked in. I think Judge Barrett is an extension of the Trump administration and this Republicanism, in the sense of, if you are opposed to Trump, you're opposed to Amy Coney Barrett. And if there's a senator in your state like a Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell and so forth, you're going to be opposed to those Republican senators. I do believe the Democrats are going to take back the Senate, but I think it has less to do with Amy Coney Barrett and more to do with the person at the top of the ticket, Donald Trump.
You think the Senate's gonna become Democratic, Dr. Watkins?
I don't see that happening, but if it does, maybe it might restore some elements of balance in this country. I think that the only thing that would end up making my stomach turn is that the Democrats are a little too much in love with this, with issues that I don't agree with. All the stuff with LGBT and somehow pretending like illegal immigrants are not legal or not illegal. I'm not a fan of any of that. So I kind of get squeamish when I think about a blue wave, but it's a possibility, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that the Senate's going to remain in the hands of the Republicans.
I'm looking for a little more balance myself, so I'm definitely looking for that. Christopher?
I think that it wouldn't surprise me at all if Donald Trump is reelected, but the Democrats take over the Senate. The electorate has shown over cycles that they like divided government. Amy Coney Barrett, when she first started, the majority of Americans didn't want her seated. She did not have a popular rating. Now that her hearings are over, I think 52% of Americans are for her. I think that helps her a little bit with the suburban white women that the president is supposedly losing. One good thing about her being on the Supreme Court, if you're from my point of view, is that if there is some after the election, some difficulties or legalities, we'll have a ninth member on the seat to determine who wins the election.
I was actually very impressed with her hearings.
Me too.
I thought she's a fine jurist, and I think in any other situation or time, there wouldn't even be a debate. But you can't talk about Judge Barrett and also act like Merrick Garland did not happen. And that's going to weigh on the minds of Americans as well.
Wow. Okay. So let's wrap this thing up with a nice, pretty bow. What should we expect if Joe Biden wins, and what should we expect if Donald Trump wins this presidential election? Mo, we'll start with you.
Chaos.
Chaos if Trump wins.
Chaos either way.
I second that emotion.
I agree. We talked about it. We talked about it earlier. I think that if Donald Trump wins, we're going to have riots in the streets. I think if Joe Biden wins and he packs the court and people start taking away Second Amendment rights, you're going to have these militia type groups that are going to come out of the hills and are going to fight a guerrilla insurrectionist type war. America, either way, has some rough days ahead of her, unfortunately.
So chaos is your answer too, then?
Yes.
Dr. Watkins, give us some hope.
I tend to spend my time thinking about Black people. I vote for Black people in every election, and so I think that there's hope in the Black community, in the sense that I think that we are a more intelligent voter base than we were, say, 10 years ago. The same tricks that we used, in the past can't be used now. I think that we're starting to see people emerge with strength and power. I love what Ice Cube is doing, because I like the reemergence of masculine leadership to kind of balance what our community needs. We need families, we need economic strength, we need things that are going to make sure we're good. So I just tell Black people, look, hunker in, and let the white folks fight. Let them go back and forth. If you want to get wrapped up in that, you can, but fight for your own damn community. Start there first, and then if you have time, then go be a Democrat, then go be a Republican. But you got to be Black first. That's something I believe in deeply.
It's something I have no choice of. Mo Kelly, I want you to wrap us up and take us home. Should the Black community expect change?
No, they shouldn't expect change. They have to fight for change. They have to be actively involved. And it's not just a presidential election. You need to be actively involved on a local level. There are ballot propositions, there are bond measures, there are local prosecutors and sheriff. All these races are very important and have obviously a more direct impact on us on a day-to-day basis than the presidential election. So if you start there in your own community and you're involved, then you'll have more in a say in what happens in your future.
Well, thank you so much, Christopher Arps, Mo Kelly, and Dr. Boyce Watkins. I appreciate you for being on the Tammy Mack Late Show. And until tomorrow, it's a blessing to be in your box on Fox Soul. Bye, y'all.
Okay, we're clear. Great show, everyone.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting
Thank you for having me.
Good show,
Nice to
y'all.
meet you. All right, you guys have a good night. See you soon.
Have a great night. Thanks.
Great night.
Thank you.
Bye bye. So what y'all think?